What is a heart horse? Well, let me tell you, this is the story of Zip, my heart horse. This is a celebration of life. Many of you have asked me which horse is my favorite. Zip was my favorite. And for those of you who have asked to see me ride, if you make it all the way to the end of this video, you will see me ride the last horsemanship pattern I ever rode on my best boy Zip. This is the story of Zip. This is Zip as a baby. As a dream, when I was a kid, I wanted a horse just like little Joe Cartwright's. Heck, I wanted little Joe Cartwright too, but we can't all have everything we want. Zip and I did everything together. When I bought him, he was a 2-year-old stud colt. We completely trained Zip ourselves. Zip was the go-to horse. He could do anything. Obstacles, horse shows, western, heck, he even rode side saddle. We loved him. Zip was my sweetest horse. Zip was the go-to. You could put a little kid on him. And Zip, speaking of kids, raised my kid, Tess. They did so much together. They had so much fun together. So many accomplishments together. Zip was a Dock Bar bred, stout little APHA Foundation horse. Just a cool dude. And look at him. Zip was gorgeous. He was just my perfect horse. He loved the cold. And he loved Jax. Jax was his best buddy after we lost Titan, Tess's big saddlebred.
Is that yours?
Jax and Zip had a mutual understanding. As long as Jax understood that Zip was in charge, all was well. They had a lot of fun together. They hung out in the pastures together. They obviously shared hay together and got along exceedingly well. Zip also loved Fleur. Fleur was his girlfriend. You can't really tell here, but, some of us play hard to get. Zip had game, and the ladies loved him. When Zip was 15 years old, he was diagnosed with PPID. He foundered. We tested him. He had laminitis. Tested positive for Cushing's disease and equine metabolic syndrome, which is why he has his fuzzy coat. It's one of the signs. So, Tess and I clipped Zip. We body clipped Zip 5 or 6 times every single year, starting in the spring and ending in the fall, so he would stay cool. Body clipping is no easy task. It takes hours, and the both of us would run 2 pairs of clippers because the clippers would get hot. This is the finished product, and because Zip got overheated a lot, he had to be cooled off in the wash rack. But he was just always so sweet. He had presence. He was the boss horse. But he was very kind and caring and would take care of any person on his back. He taught so many people their first jog, their first lope. And boy, did Zip have some beautiful, beautiful hair. I loved it when it was cool enough for me to let his mane down, but we did keep him braided when it was hot to keep him nice and cool. See him looking at me. Zip once saved me from a horse that tried to attack me and strike at me in a pasture. He put himself right between us. And I've never seen anything like it. He mirrored that horse like it was a cow until he left. Zip got really sick and colicked and had to go to the University of Georgia, and we had to have this lipoma removed from him. If we had not done that, we would have had to have him put down. Zip fully recovered from his colic surgery. He stayed in isolation for a while, and we were lucky enough that we got to bring Zip home, and this is us picking him up at the hospital. It was a glorious day. We were told that Zip was the only horse to leave the hospital that week. He was the only one that made it out alive. His colic surgery went very well. Look how happy the herd is to see Zip. As I said before, Zip was the boss. Look at Boone come running up to him. They all admired him. They all respected him.
Who is it?
Jax's buddy. Zip was just the perfect horse for me. Just such a good horse. Look how happy all the other horses are to see him. Their leader is home. And Zip
Hey,
did really well
Sundays.
for a long time.
Jax, is this a friend?
He did pretty well.
This your buddy.
And then he started to get sick again. Tess and I just noticed something wasn't right. We called our vet out, and we ended up taking him up to UGA. And he had contracted a virus, and his liver was not working properly. Look at him. He was just such a special horse. That's his belly after having the surgery, and I just loved braiding his beautiful mane. This is my screensaver on my phone. This is 3 days before he passed away. We did not know that he was that sick. He showed no signs. And then when he started to show signs, he just literally was not the same horse. He seemed very distant, and his manners were gone. It was so strange. And then we took him up to UGA. Now, as Zip and I execute this horsemanship pattern, my daughter Tess calls out to us. I will read to you the tribute she wrote to Zip the day we lost him. 20 years we've been together, for 20 years. 20 years of you being the heart of our herd. 20 years of you tolerating my many shifts and disciplines. 20 years of you being the rock-solid, sane guy. 20 years of you expecting a piece of whatever it was I was eating. 20 years of you packing around my elementary, middle, high school, and college friends. 20 years of you fighting back in our pretend WWE barn matches. 20 years of you creating the illusion that I know a lick about riding. 20 years of you always bringing in the blue ribbons. 20 years of you teaching me it's not about the blue ribbons. 20 years of you tolerating my white girl dancing and off-key singing. 20 years of me whispering to you loud enough for my mom to hear that you like me better. 20 years of you never letting me fall off, not even once. 20 years of every high and low. 20 years of you always being there. You were there before Fleur and after Titan. There isn't much of a memory before you.
Very nice.
So the thought of a reality after you is a hard one to grasp. But you always will be my guy. I love you, Zip. Always. The statue made of Zip was made by one of my interns, and I cherish it. It's an exact replica of Zip, and it sits on my desk, and I touch him every day.